Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome, beautiful hearts. We are in another episode of our Energy Healing Quantum Conversation Summit series. And today we are with a quantum shaman, a master healer, and a light weaver. Nadine Calis is with us today. We're so pleased to meet her and share her wisdom on this episode. We're going to talk about sound technology for advanced healing and activating your 13-strand DNA. Hi, Nadine. Thank you. Welcome. We're happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Loren. I'm super happy to be here with you today.
Yes, we love everything to do with sound technology, and the healing that it brings. And so as we start, first, before we get into your story, I want to ask about sound healing. When we're talking energy healing, what is sound doing, or light language? What is that doing to assist us in healing or shifting our energy?
Yes, thank you. From my perspective, there's nothing that sound cannot do. So I find that it's actually working on every single level of our soul experience, from shifting stuck energy to surgery in the body if necessary in the etheric field, to shifting or removing programming and outdated belief systems. It's like a laser, you know, how you would use a laser in modern technology to cut through. And I find it is the most effective way to cut through energy of any sort, matter of any sort.
Wow.
To me, it's
Okay.
one of the most potent tools that we could be accessing, and that comes free through our body. And that is an incredible gift that we've been giving.
Wow. We're going to dive deep into some of the things that you said there, because so many of us, as we go through our ascension journey and we awaken to memories of toning in Lemuria, for example, or why we're drawn to crystal bowls, Tibetan bowls, any sort of instrument that rattles, things like this, or even the drone instruments, right? Very interesting how that happens. And some have even begun to speak light language spontaneously in their awakening. Isn't that fascinating?
That is.
So as we start our conversation, I'd like to know about you. How did you get involved in sound healing, and share your awakening experience that led you to sound healing?
Okay, thank you. I can't say that I've had one awakening event per se. It is something I know that I have carried through many lifetimes. So it's not necessarily a learned experience, but very experiential through my body. And I did have one moment in time in New Zealand. I was guided to New Zealand where I met, a handful of other women like me, and they basically held the door open for my remembrance. And that was amazing. And then all the sound and the voice and the light language started to flow through with my time with them naturally. So in terms of like an awakening experience, I haven't had one moment in time, but I will say it's been a continuation of working on my inner planes nonstop. One layer after the other, as we're all so used to in this process, and really following a strong, strong intuition that I've just always had since I was young. At all costs, no matter what, I feel blessed that I have always listened to my intuition. And that has led from one step to the next step to the next step. So that has been a blessing. And I really think it's really about that. It's really just about very much listening to yourself and following those inner prompts and into the unknown and into those deeper heart chambers, deeper into the soul experience, so that, of course, we are constantly clearing each layer within ourselves. And the clearer we become in that way, spontaneously and naturally, our gifts will come forth through that. And mine happens to be in sound. And the light language did come through more consciously in my time in New Zealand in 2009.
That is really amazing. And so I want to point out 2009, right before 2012, 2009, 2010, 2011. These years leading up to 2012 was really like an awakening for many people. And even after 2012, we're still seeing, and even now, even since 2020, people are still awakening. And I find it so beautiful. And I want to ask, well, isn't it amazing that you went to New Zealand,
Yes.
another place? So, do you remember Lemuria from that trip? Do you remember the Aborigines? Was there something in your soul that led you there? You said you followed your guidance, which is beautiful. I'm going to ask you more about intuition, but that journey to another country was certainly activating, but was it something of a remembrance of another life, a past life, or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. At the time, I didn't have any awareness of that, of course. I was just very tugged, and I'm very, very connected to Gaia. So I would, from my perspective at the time, feel that the land was actually what was calling me. It was calling, it was calling. My experience of the land was that it was one of the most pure frequencies that I had ever experienced. Even before getting there, I knew that, I just was so excited, and I could just feel that level of purity that the land emanates, that I just was, my heart just wanted to be amongst that land vibration. And I remember at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just, I was in my job. I was like, I'm leaving my job. I booked my ticket, and I was just elated. I was so excited. And it just felt like it meant to be. Had no clue what I was doing, honestly. I just knew I wanted and I needed to go to New Zealand. So I followed that calling, and one place led me to the other place, and I was by myself. I didn't know anything or anyone. And eventually I did find this beautiful healing center in the north of the South Island of New Zealand in Nelson, with these beautiful ladies, and I ended up staying with them. And in terms of remembering other lifetimes, I don't have as many recollections as many other people. I feel like I have chosen not to remember purposely, for the benefit of a faster clearing for myself, to be able to move through the clearings that I took on to clear without a lot of the extra information. And I find that that helped me. But I did have an amazing experience on the west coast of the South Island of New Zealand. And I wasn't even that attuned to Lemuria and Atlantis at that time of my, experience back there at that time. Of course, we were all there, but I didn't know at the time. But I do remember very specifically walking across a particular area and starting light language just coming through as I was walking, and the knowing that I had just walked through a Lemurian portal, and then really connecting to the whales and seeing that that part of Lemuria was in the Marianas Trench, off the coast of New Zealand, and it was the home for this migration of incredible whales and dolphin family. And that was the frequency that came through, and it was very specific in my head. And I didn't, like I said, know that much about Lemuria consciously this lifetime at that point, but I was like, Lemuria. And I just started singing and singing through the light language, and to connecting to those whale and dolphin families who I also feel very, very connected to, as so many of us do. So that was a beautiful experience in terms of remembrance, but not as much as the visual experience. I don't have that much of that experience.
What a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. That is so remarkable how you were so elated to go. You shifted your life. We were talking recently in another episode about the joy that we feel when we are faced with a decision. And what you did was very bold. And isn't that so energizing? We get so excited. So when you're talking about like feeling in your body and following your intuition, let's go back to your intuition then, because trusting yourself to pick up, to leave your job and to go on a journey like this. For one, how long were you gone? Was it like a month or more, or how long
It
were you?
ended up being about 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
wanted to
Okay.
stay, but I got called back to the United States. So yeah.
Okay. So that is such a life-changing experience. And your intuition that that got you there. Can you share? Okay, so there's so much that we've covered already, but I do want to talk about intuition and how you've always been tuned in and tapped into it. So for those of us who are listening and questioning, well, how do you begin to listen? How did you listen? Was it the feeling in your body? Was it something else? How did you know that it was the thing to do?
Yes, thank you. For me, it just becomes overwhelming. There's an overwhelming feeling that, many of us know is there. And sometimes we just decide to let it slide by, like not pay attention to it. But I mean, if we all really look inside of ourselves, we do feel it. We just have maybe forgotten how to listen or to take the next step, or maybe fear has taken over, which is very natural, of course. From my experience, it's overwhelming and I almost cannot go despite anything. And it just takes over my experience until I go. Like everything else will fall to the wayside. I'll start to get a lot of discomfort. I think that is a key. There starts to be a lot of discomfort with your current situation. And
Uh,
it's almost like the energy ropes start to end. There's no more energy left for your current situation. And you might start to feel compressed. We may say depressed, contracted. And so something is stirring. Something is stirring within you. That is a sign that something is wanting the attention from us. It wants our attention. And it's inviting us to look deeper into where is this discomfort? Why do we feel unhappy? Why are we feeling closed off, right? So those are good signs. And then for me, it's definitely in the gut and the heart, and it's just overwhelming. Maybe just an idea will pop into my mind. I don't know where it comes from, right? We don't know necessarily. We say we don't know where it comes from, but it's just an idea. And so you just contemplate it for a little bit, sit with the idea. It seems to be on your mind a lot. Why is it on your mind a lot? Maybe feel deeper into that. And for me, it gets louder and louder and louder. So I can't particularly ignore it. And if I have ignored it on occasions, the consequence is usually depression of some sort. And that for me is a big sign. And so I was just feeling into New Zealand, looking at the pictures, getting very excited, and my body was expanding. It was opening. It was, that giggle, that feeling of aliveness coming back inside that maybe was missing or something like that. And just feeling the excitement, the joy. That is a great key, the joy that came with the idea of going there. Wow, what is there? I don't even know, but it feels so exciting. And then I knew as soon as I booked the ticket, it all just fell into place. And I was like jumping up and down in my room. I remember the moment very well. I was so excited. And I didn't know why, I didn't know what, but I just knew that I really wanted to go. And it definitely ended up being one of the most pivotal experiences of my life, very life changing, introduced me to my soul family and also to my gifts, but also it made sense of the rest of my life. I was like, oh, this is why so and so has happened, or this is why I am the way I am, or everything just came together, and it gave me, for the first time ever, some idea of why, the making sense of my life. And um, yeah, it definitely changed the trajectory of my life. So I'm very glad I listened. And I encourage everybody out there who has just a little inkling, it's a little nudging, it's a little voice, it's something that makes you go, ah, like uplifts you in some way, to dig deeper into that without
Yeah,
a lot of questioning, like needing to know all the answers and how it's going to work and to figure it out, but just allowing that process to naturally unfold through you.
I love that. Thank you for sharing, because so many are, presented with a question, should I move here? Should I go to a new place? And your experience of feeling that joy, feeling the excitement in your body, in your gut, that is the ticket. And so, that's a journey that could be frightening, to go halfway around the world by yourself. And so you stuck with it in spite of the surface fear of that sort of travel. That's what I love about it. So good on you.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Yeah. And so, many of us, we learn the other way. We learn by overriding our intuition that, oh, we should have taken the umbrella, or I should have paid attention to that dream I had last night and not get in the HOV lane that I just got a ticket for. That was my experience. Yeah, it was
Oh
true.
no.
Oh, and then having to go to court and sit in court. It was just a
Oh,
long story, but that was my own awakening to intuition. So I love the fact that you could do it without overriding and learning the hard way. And look at the gifts that it gave you. So the spontaneous light language. So back in 2009, this was where, it was not quite so well known, light language. So when you were experiencing this light language coming through you, did you freak out? What did you do? How did you deal with that sensation?
yes, thank you. It wasn't weird to me, surprisingly, although the language at that time was extremely funny. So I have to say I just laughed for about a good year because I thought it was so funny, the language. And I had spoken it before, not knowingly that that was light language. So when it started to come through, it felt actually very natural and very almost like I would say a sense of relief, that, oh, I can express myself at a different level, a level that seems more true and authentic to who I am, even though I didn't understand it. And of course, the beautiful healers and women in my soul tribe around me were also speaking it. So it felt very natural and comforting. So I wasn't afraid of it. But it did take some time, and I didn't really know, at that time, I wasn't aware that, who was speaking it, who's not speaking it, all that kind of stuff. So I just, it did take time to not be so afraid to share it in groups that maybe weren't as familiar with the work. And even for myself to get used to that, allowing it to come through. And I would say that it's a deep allowance. And so when I was starting to use it in my practice, and also with working with the planetary energies, there were times where I was like, is anybody watching? Can anybody hear me? Like feeling I needed to hide all the time because people were going to think I was crazy, and all those thoughts that, initially might come with the light language. And then at some point it just overtakes, because it bypasses the ego. So if you're letting go and letting source really move through you, you have no choice but to speak or to sing or to whatever it is you're called, because that is you stepping back and allowing something bigger than yourself to move through you. And at some point it gets so loud and so strong that it overrides your own fears and your own your mental process that goes through it. And it's a building of trust of course. And that is just through the practice of it and you getting stronger in yourself and your own journey. And then, of course, seeking those who are in similar understandings. And that is so healing. I think, one of the things when I first moved to Sedona, which is a similar story of, trusting everything, leaving, not knowing where you're going. Um, there's something so healing about being able to connect with those at the same level of consciousness as you. So the communication that you're able to have, and that maybe you haven't been able to have up until this point with a lot of people. And it's so transformative. And so I find it extremely therapeutic and extremely healing. So I'm so grateful for those experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, the soul family, it's validation that we are not weird or crazy,
Right.
uh, so that we can own ourselves. We can own that within us. So I love it. I love how you laughed at your light language. I do. And I think maybe that is a good indicator for the rest of us. In my journey, I'll just share this because I find it's relevant.
Yeah.
I light language is different for me. I do more clicking than I do light language. But for me, the big thing was toning. And when I really opened up to my own toning, I remember standing on the shores of Lemuria and
Mhm.
toning across the bay to others. See, that makes me want to cry as I remember that. That's my heart opening. And so that to me is my truth. And first time I heard toning, it was in a group setting, and a group of like-minded people went up to this person who was told he was a walk-in, and he was kind of just blown away by that. And this supportive group of people came to him and they laid their hands on him and they started toning. And I walked around laughing for a week at that, right? And but now it's my go-to.
Yeah, me too.
So that laughter allowed me to it got my attention enough that it was like, what? And then next thing I know, when I'm in a situation, that's all that I know how to do is carry a tone for someone. So, or something, or an animal.
Yeah.
So isn't that fascinating? So the laughter helps break it. There it is, sound.
Yeah.
It helps break up the resistance in our belief system that we may have that this is weirdo or freaky. And I think all of us, one time I was toning to a baby owl that flew into my window and it lived. It like woke up. I thought it was gone, but it actually lived. And as I was first doing that, I looked around to make sure nobody could hear me. Isn't that funny? So, and now it's like it doesn't matter. Now I'll do it even though people will be around. And that feels so good, doesn't it? It feels so good to know that it's what we are, and it doesn't matter what other people think about that. Do you
Absolutely.
experience that?
Oh, absolutely. And it's so liberating. And I think that's part of the laughter. It's like this liberation, this freedom that comes through that breaks through that throat chakra. People can do it through many different ways. And like you, I mostly do a lot of toning as well. And just like the sound breaks through, right? So and for people it's different. It could be a scream, it could be a
Yeah.
combination of all of it, but the laughing, and I think the laughing is a nice tribute to the level of humor that some of the guides and the energies have that come through us. To this day they make me laugh. I mean, if the elementals want to come through, I'm gonna laugh. They're funny, and they are purposely funny because I feel like they want to remind us of this great joy, and that not to take it all so seriously, and to play with it and have fun with it, and it doesn't have to be this serious, weird, scary experience. So I love that um they invite us to be in that space, really. And it is just so freeing and expanding, and I love to hear your experience because I'm like that too. I will talk to the birds, and so much out in nature, and I used to like try and hide and be like, let's put on invisibility so nobody sees, but now I don't care. Now there's a gift in that they may hear and experience something that might be new to them. So no, yeah, it's beautiful. It feels nice to be fully grounded in that now. Yeah.
Yes, fully grounded in that. And I think the world needs every human to learn to talk to trees. Hmm? That would
I completely agree.
If every human can learn to talk to trees, we're doing great progress.
Absolutely, yeah. And
Yeah.
just to listen to them too, like listen to them and watch them breathing and listening to the wind through their leaves, it helps us so much. They're such adaptogens that helps us to find our own pace when we just kind of attune ourselves to them and start allowing our breath to attune with them. And then of course the light language and the toning helps us attune to them. So um, they're such gifts when we are able to do that because they're giving us so much that's so free and it's so generous. And yeah, yeah, I agree with you.
Excellent. And we are going to talk about sound healing and activating the 13 strand DNA, but I just want to finish. I'm onto a new thing here because I'm in Costa Rica and I see so the jungle, the trees literally create the clouds. The trees are literally exhaling
Yes.
clouds. I've seen it time
Oh,
and time
it's
again. And I
beautiful.
just want to share that because that in its own right is like, wow, that's so special. And so when we cut trees down, wherever it is, we lose a sense of that. And so I just wanted to share that, no particular point, but I think it's important that trees breathe us and we breathe them.
That's so
That's
profound. Yes.
mhm. Okay. Well, so here we go, talking about sound healing. Sound healing, you mentioned earlier in our introduction that it's laser-like and that it removes blockages. And you were saying like even surgery in the etheric field. Wow, that's amazing. Have you done things like that with sound? What have you witnessed that's remarkable in your eyes?
It's honestly all remarkable. It just feels so humbling to get to experience it because no matter what level, get this, wow, we're amazing. What else is there? What else can we do? Like, what is a continuous of like, wow, 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 this is possible. This is possible. I never knew this was possible. So, that part alone is exciting, right? That is very beneficial. But I use it in many different ways for like removing layers of things. Let's say somebody has had anxiety for 20 years, and then the sound can over to, a period of time. I'm not talking one session, although sometimes that does happen. Um, it literally will remove that layer of anxiety in their field. So now they are anxiety free, or let's say they have different things in their organs, like cysts or lumps. I've worked with different things like breast cancer, that kind of stuff. And the sound, I would say, along with the light weaving, is very effective at dissolving those things because really they're just a buildup of stagnation somehow. So the sound is dissolving with that vibration, the vibratory breaking apart. Um, all that is not in best alignment or highest alignment for the body. So I don't tend to like to put a lot of labels on it, but I have done that. And I do a lot, especially with the brain, with concussions or the monkey mind or old programs that are no longer serving, they're really getting in the way of the moving forward. Also the rewiring of the brain, the neurotransmitters. I think that is one of the most fascinating things to watch, the way that the sound traveling through the voice, but also as sound vibration traveling through our hands and placing that on the different locations. That is an avenue of sound moving through you as well. And how that rewires us completely. I mean, it's as if you go in there and you're literally going into those organs with your hands, and the sound is the driving force that allows you to move into those spaces. It creates the opening, it creates the avenue, and then it, you know, it cuts where it needs to. It cuts, it dissolves, it also brings colors with it. So those colors are also involved as it is all, you know, it's not just one thing or the other. It's all working together, the sound, the color, the, you know, the wavelength, the vibration, the frequency all together. So things like that, like things, so I would say there's nothing that it really can't do if somebody is willing to allow the receptivity of it. So yes, even cutting through different things in the organ systems, because really we as humans see it that it's dense and it's matter, but of course we know it's not. It's malleable. It can be transmuted. It can be really shifted around. There's really nothing that I feel it can't do. So just to keep open that there's infinite possibility with it. I think just keeping that attitude of there is nothing that can't happen really gives the permission for it to happen.
That's really well said. And as we know with animals, they're already open. So that's why we see it working really well with animals, like toning a bird back to life, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're already open to it. That's really beautiful. Thank you for the work, and it corroborates what science in sound healing is coming up with now these days, and the work with the brain. And it is all related, and it's fascinating. We've heard from others in this series about that. And so it's so good to hear you right there corroborating that. So when we're talking about the DNA is actually coming online when we use technologies like this. How do you explain that? What's going on there?
Hmm. Well, from one perspective, and I don't necessarily know all the science, the tech, you know, the technical details of the science behind the way that DNA works. But I am aware that we are just using a portion of our capacity in terms of the DNA, and the sound is bringing through a frequency that wakens up the latent knowledge within us. And as we are preparing our body on different levels and the earth on different levels, so we're the frequency shifting. Now the body is in a space that can hold a different level of information that maybe the physical vehicle was not able to hold before. So I think it's a matter of it's all working together again on that level of we're working on the body expanding and changing and shifting. And so that now there's room and there's awareness in the body for the DNA to be activated with more information that maybe seems new, but it's always been there. We just didn't have access to it because we didn't have the threshold or the bandwidth before to hold that in our physical experience. And now we're seeing more and more how we're able to hold infinite amounts of information, light, frequency, energy, however we want to call it. It's all interrelated in the physical vehicle. And I think the physical vehicle is the key. And the being able to take care of our physical vehicle is extremely important to be able to then activate these DNA codes. And we say they're new DNA codes. I don't know if they're new or not, to be honest, I don't fully have that answer or that experience. I do know that it helps us to awaken information, latent information that we were not aware of before in our experience at different, everybody at different stages. I can't really speak to the science of it though, because that is not information that I have.
Scientists will be catching up with us, so there's no
Yeah,
need to worry about that. Our experience in watching it transform our lives, open us up to that information is the truth of our experience. So
it
science will
is.
only catch up to us.
And the fact that, people think that we can't change. I mean, I think that's the biggest part that we are witnessing is, yes, of course we can change. Um, that DNA is not fixed and it can change. And are you the same person that you were when you were 6 or when you were 12? Or I'm an entirely different human being? And that is because of this process of the clearing and the activating of the different DNA strands or information that's coming through our DNA. So we are different than who we used to be. And I think that in itself is a testament to, yes, we can change, we do change, and it's infinite, and it's still a little bit unknown. We're still really on that cutting edge of what's possible, and we're just beginning to see what is possible. And I'm really excited to be here, to be present, to witness some of that in the coming years still.
Yes, and it brings such hope because
That's
um,
pretty cool.
we could tend to give up on ourselves,
Yeah.
but there's no need to give up on ourselves. Just take that as an image. What are we going to be in the future by doing work like this, by clearing ourselves out? So it really is hopeful that we can make, no matter where we are, we can always get to the other side of whatever it is we're going through. And so that's the importance of energy healing, is getting that flow of that divine energy through us in that way. Now, you mentioned light weaving. Tell us about light weaving. And we're going to do a little sound transmission with you. But this light weaving, light also carries information. So you've got the sound, which is information. I would say that sound, wow, would you say sound is light? Or do you see it? It's a frequency.
I,
So,
I, I see it all as frequency, and it's transmitted through us in all these different avenues. So it's
oh,
all energies, all frequency, and it's transmitted through sound, it's transmitted through light, it's transmitted through the physical vehicle, it's transmitted through our thoughts, our movement. I mean, so many avenues we have to discover, to play with. It's kind of fun.
yes.
And I just wanted to say, I really love what you said about that hopefulness, because I think at this juncture in time, people really need that. They really need to feel hope. And the fact that we can feel empowered to take the steps within ourselves to create what we would like, a future we would like, a way of being that we would like, a lifestyle that we would like, that we can start that from within us, that we don't have to wait for anybody else or anything else outside of ourselves. And that is very, very hopeful. And if there's, in all the seeming destruction that's going on as we rise, we want to hold that at the bottom of it all, there's a lot of hope. And that, I think, is the beautiful message. Thank you for having shared that. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And it's why we say hold your vision of new earth
Yeah.
through all of this, through all of it, because we know what steps to take on our personal journey to anchor new earth when we at least have a vision. So it's beautiful. All right. So you do a lot of work with quantum vibrational healing. And that is what we're talking about here with sound and light and the information and the frequencies that we can express. And you also activate the 13th DNA strand. So as we prepare to do a mini transmission with you, can you talk about the 13th strand? We hear 12, and we know that there's more than that. But
Right.
what's going on for us to pay attention to the 13th strand?
Right. Thank you so much. Um, so what I was guided to share is that for me, or from my perspective, what I've been told, it's really connected to your God code. And, the chakra that is between your sacral and your solar plexus. Not many people are aware that that's not talked about in the original 7 chakras. Of course, we've got way more than that, and most of us are online with the 12 at the moment. But so that one is what I'm calling the 13th chakra, and I connect it to the understanding of the experience of God, and basically connecting to source energy, and why many of us have had a hard time naturally connecting to source energy. That particular chakra, from my understanding, has been I would say corrupted a little bit on some level. It's being corrupted, it's being closed down. We've not come in with it necessarily wide open. Some of us have, and some of it's closed down through trauma. Some of us, it's already being corrupted as we come into this physical experience. It's being messed, tempered with. I don't really want to get into that. That there's a lot of different understandings or stories around that. I don't really like to delve into that level, but I go through the experience of 2, and wow, that chakra, that's right around the womb, isn't it? And that makes so much sense, in between the sacral and the solar plexus, and that's in the womb. That's our source of creation and our connection, and that has been tampered with a little bit. So this DNA activation is really to help repair that particular connection to source energy, which, from my feeling and awareness and perspective, is at the heart of everything, really the missing link. Like we get focused on so many other things, and a lot of really interesting things with our mind, and what's possible technologically and things, but what we're really, I feel, unfortunately, sadly missing as a species is our direct connection to source energy, and which allows us to be in full presence, which allows us to be fully embodied. And when you have that direct experience, then you are connected to everything. And so we really take on that, the truest embodiment of unity consciousness, and what that means. And it's hard to do when this particular chakra has been a little bit corrupted, or is damaged, or is closed through many different factors. And so I feel like the most empowering gift that my guides want to bring through is this helping to restore that particular connection, because when you have that, then you are grounded in yourself. You are able to connect with everything as you have a communication with everything in the, whether it's the plants, the trees, it's all part of you. It's all in flow. It's all in a space of presence. And it expands our heart infinitesimally. And what else is there? Isn't that what we're here for? So that's my experience of it. I don't go necessarily into all the technical understanding and details. I don't really think it's necessary. I think we tend to overanalyze a lot of things, and it gets in our way sometimes. And this is meant to be a very visceral experience, to be felt in the body, what it feels like to be connected as God's source energy, however you like to label it. And then we're truly free. No, we're not easily controlled. We're not easily pulled this way or that way. We have a centeredness and a groundedness and a security in ourselves that gives us the freedom to fully share as well all that we are with everybody, and to have that exchange with each other, knowing we are just a reflection of each other.
That is so beautiful, and not holding anything back, not filtering ourselves,
Yeah.
being authentic, and that connection to God's source energy. So many of us really want to cultivate that even more,
Yeah.
especially now on the planet, when externally there's so much that can distract us from that,
Absolutely.
cause worry. But you know what? With this, I'm hearing everything that you say, and with this connection, there should be no more worry. that it feels empowering.
Yeah, very empowering. And there's so much noise out there now. I mean, so much noise
So
and
much
chaos.
noise.
And how are we to be expected to sift through that if we don't have a strong sense of ourself and a strong connection? It gives us that discernment, that ability to be discerning and to hold in our truth and our knowing. It's very important to have that. Yeah.
All right, we're getting ready for a little mini session for you. I just am feeling into what you just said there, and I can see and sense already how this is building our discernment, because it's that area in our body when we're like, say, for example, when we're looking at so much information that's out there, and it could be jarring to us. It could be juicy and maybe sexy, and we're like, wow, it could be like scandalous or wow. But the feeling that comes back to it, no matter what, from the tone of the person who's saying it to the topic that it's about, we can feel that in our body. And
Absolutely.
oftentimes our head overrides that because we get caught up in it. So I can see how we're already this area. Does it make sense that this area is already giving us clues and signals? We're just not aware of it. So that if we cultivate it a bit more, the door's wide open to solid grounding in the info. Wow. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's always giving us information. Sometimes we just, how the saying is, we have a lot of, um, it's as if we haven't cleaned the windows in a while or something like that. So there's just a lot of material that may be getting in the way of us hearing the messages. And the more that we clear that mirror, that window, the easier we can hear the messages. And that's really the whole point of this work, is just to keep clearing and clearing until we can really truly hear and be more of our authentic self. And I think that's all there is to it.
That's all there is to it. All right. So tell us about this mini transmission over the next few minutes, and then we will let you go right ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Lauren. I appreciate this opportunity. What I'm hearing for today is that they want to bring in something to assist with this feeling of the very unknown and the need to know, and how we can let go of this need to know, because everything is new for us this point forward, and everybody is making personal choices. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's your personal choice, and you really need to just take one step and then be in that moment, and then make a next step and be in that moment. And that's very different how we've operated in the past. So the sense of control, and that we need to know, how's it going to turn out? And we really can't operate from that space anymore. There's just no grounding for it. And I think it brings up a lot of fear in everybody. It doesn't matter what community you're in. Even in this community, there's still a lot of fear of what's going to happen, and not knowing aspect, and the beauty of really surrendering into being in that space of unknown, and the confidence in being in that space and taking the next steps, no matter what, that you can't see quite the full picture yet. So that's the message that wants to come through today. So I'd like to invite us first to just take a moment and close our eyes. I find the closing of the eyes helps us more easily receive without a lot of distraction, and inviting us to take a deep breath, and really on that exhale, sighing out any excess energy. So inhale, exhale. Again, that sigh really helps to ground us, to bring us back into center, into presence, into this moment. Skur. Skur. Skuri ashar ay sur ang skuru uyam maka asuku kuri asuku kuri matiam. Skuri am asuri skuri maka ay shik am aray kuri ashuki ak aruku kuya sukia tukia. Skuri ning 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 Just giving a moment to let the silence settle in. And ever so slowly, start to take some deep breaths. Using that breath to bring you back in to your body, into this present moment. With so much gratitude. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Now that was light weaving and sound. That was beautiful. That was really activating. Thank you for that. I could sense the clearing. Seriously, that is visceral, a visceral effect in the body. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing to me.
It's amazing. It's very humbling. Such beautiful, the beautiful capacity that we all have.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for your beautiful work that you do. There are people who want to work with you. I know this, and we have a couple of opportunities for people to do that. You're a great facilitator. When you do sessions on people, clients, what are you doing? Like, what do they come for? And how can you help them? This is your quantum vibrational healing sessions. Tell us about those.
Yes, thank you so much. So I do both in-person sessions, and for this community, I'll be doing online sessions. Generally, I prefer to do at least one session in person, but we are such a community of masters that I feel very comfortable doing both sessions online. So people come because often they are feeling a little lost or they feel stuck. Some are in pain. Some are coming for physical aspects because this work actually does work on the physical body as well. It helps with inflammation, anxiety, different pain, pain in the different organs. So it could really be anything. I would say if it's really calling to you, there's a reason. And but it also, if you're very stuck or you really need a little bit of assistance and facilitation into moving that next step of your journey, into that next step of your frequency, that is really also a big part of this work. People feel very embodied, they always say they feel a lot more like themselves after sessions. And that's really all there is to that. That is the greatest gift. There's really nothing that can't be addressed. I do want to make note that I'm not forcing anything or doing anything. I literally am listening to your field, and your field is telling me what we want to be worked on at this moment where there might be some assistance needed. So nothing is forced. I take great care of your soul experience. I'm working on your entire soul experience, so that's the quantum and the shamanic, meaning we're working the full soul experience from inception. There's no time involved in that, so past, future, present, and we can work with all of that in presence when we're working in presence. And shamanic, because it's very multidimensional, working with many different elements. I'm very connected to the natural world, but I work with many different elements. And again, it's very dependent on what that person is needing at that moment, also working with their fields and their teams as well. So there's nothing that it can't do. It's really about listening to where your field is at the moment and working with that experience and yeah, in that time frame.
And I love that there's two sessions here
Yes.
because it's very beneficial. The first one works with anything, but then, to kind of clear out the debris or the layers, the blocks and the resistance, where the second one allows you to go so much deeper. Is that what's happening? It's totally different than the first one.
They're all very different, absolutely. And I absolutely agree with you. I think, too, is really important. A lot can happen in one session, but it's more even for the comfort of the person. Maybe it's very unknown. They don't know what to expect. So maybe they, are not as relaxed as they could be. And the second one, they know what to expect. They've heard my siren screams, and they're not alarmed, and they can really relax into the session, and I can go much deeper into the second session. And like you said, the first one's a little bit of a Pandora's box because I'm listening to the field, and at first there might be a lot of psychic debris that needs to be cleared before we can even get into the deeper aspects of the work. And so that needs to be done. It's just very dependent on each person in their stage of evolution. But the two together is very effective. You'll definitely, after the second, can cut through quite a lot of layers and feel a lot more comfortable as well. Though I hold a great container of safety for people, so I do feel, everyone has told me they feel very safe during the session. So that feels comforting too. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. So, activating the DNA, being connected to the divine source energy through this is really the end result. And it's our true nature that you're assisting people in becoming, and that will absolutely change our lives. So again, this is for anyone and everyone. Those who are dealing with debilitating diagnosis,
Yes,
that would be right. We've got the whole gamut.
the whole
Or
gamut, absolutely.
someone who wants to maybe move to a new country, but are feeling fearful.
Yeah.
This would be helpful and beneficial there too. Or start a new venture. This would be empowering to go into the new venture with that connection and that intuition and that guidance that we have within us. That's very beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. It really works on that core level of helping you feel more connected to yourself and grounded and embodied, which then gives you the sense of freedom to take those leaps that you need to take or you want to take. And yeah, that's beautiful to watch.
Freedom, people, freedom. We are free. We truly are free. Doing this inner work, facilitated by beautiful guides like Nadine Calis, who can assist us vibrationally. So it's assistance for you to connect even deeper to your source energy that is always there. But this is a grounded, more durable, strong connection. So it's beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you so
And
much.
there is an activation as well for
Yes,
those who are interested. And this is on the 13th strand DNA activation or
yes,
DNA transmission. Activate your God code. Tell us about this because this does it come if someone orders the two personal sessions? Does this is this included with that as well or individually separate?
I believe you can do it either or, so you can buy, you can get them as a bundle,
Right.
which would have the two sessions and the activation, which is we talked about earlier about activating the one in the middle here where the womb is, and or you could do them separately with the two sessions and then also just the activation by itself. Yes.
So when people use this activation, how many times can they use it? What is the recommendation and how often can they use it?
Yes, thank you for that question. Um, I would say there's not really a limit to it, but one time is pretty profound. So I would at least give yourself some time and space. This energy keeps working through us even after the sessions. I say to people, it'll be working through you for up to 6 months because different codes are put in, activated in the field. So it all opens up when you're ready. So, and that is very individual. It depends on each person's evolution. But in terms of the activation, I would say listen to it that one time first and give yourself some time. Give yourself a week, let it integrate, start to sense the differences and the different sensations in your body. Maybe some of the different thought patterns have changed a little bit. Maybe things that used to bother you or don't bother you so much anymore. There may be new opportunities coming into your world that weren't there before. So give yourself at least, I would say, a week, and then if you feel that you want to listen to that again, I don't think there's a limit to it because the way that the codes and the activations work, they're working at the level that you're receiving it and needing it at that moment, and they're meant to work on infinite levels. So they meet you where you are. I guess I should say that. So each time we listen, they will be working on a different part of us. They're so it's very intelligent that way, naturally intelligent. So I don't say there's any limit to how much you could listen to them, but I would give a little space in between, maybe at least a week.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Yes. And so light weaving. This was light weaving in action. The best way to understand it is to experience it. And we did
Yeah.
that today. And I can sense just that little bit that we did, how that will continue to work with us as well, because those light codes were palpable. Is that amazing? It's so cool. I think it's so cool.
I think it's so cool too. I'm always humbled, I get to experience the benefits too because it flows through. So it's just so humbling and I'm always wowed. Like And we're getting new frequencies that are coming in that have never come in before, that are amazing what is they're doing. I don't even know the full breadth of what's happening, but I know that they're shifting, the neurotransmitters, the chromosomes, different things are coming online, patterns and belief systems easier to cut through, especially with addiction. And some of these new frequencies are like so blissful. I mean, they're so beautiful that they remind you of who you truly are, and who you really are. It's really like a reflection of that. And to see and to really feel that viscerally in the body, then so much else washes away that's just not necessary. And that is the beauty, that there's so much new coming in, new frequencies. Some of them are very metallic, some of them are really hard on even my vocal range, so I'm working with that too. But they're just like
Wow.
infinite. They're just so expansive and so much light. It's like sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can hold that. That's so beautiful.
Oh my goodness. Well, we felt some of those frequencies today. It was really spectacular. My room is cleared here. It feels so great. It really does. And so I'm truly hoping that everyone loved this experience today. And if you would love to feel more grounded in this, to feel more held and nurtured and supported in this, then Nadine has this offer for you. She's a beautiful teacher for you as she's gone through her own life. She's helping you take in these codes and live your life as the hero that you are. It only makes your life better, really, truly. And it's all about you and the light that you carry. So if you resonate with this frequency today, we invite you to check out Nadine's special offer and get those personal sessions, get the activation, or one or the other. It's all there and available for you. Anything else you want to say about this offer for people out there?
Just that it's such an honor for me to provide that. And not a lot of people work with this particular modalities or the frequencies that are coming through. For whatever reason, my DNA journey allows me to carry certain codes that not a lot of people carry, and that I'm able to activate in others. So I'm very grateful for that. And it's a great joy for me to work with all the beautiful souls out there. So thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing this gift to all of us. We really look forward to working with you, and we thank you for this opportunity. And so,
So much.
as we conclude our program, I always like to give folks an extra moment for final thoughts. And my final thought for you would be New Earth. What do you envision New Earth as?
That's such a beautiful question. To me, it's the vision of all humans living in freedom, fully embodied, fully in presence. Yeah, with infinite opportunity from there.
Infinite possibilities,
Yeah.
infinite opportunity. Oh, it's so beautiful. And we are getting there, and it happens one body, one heart at a time. So that's why this work is so important. It's not to be dismissed or thought and taken lightly, because it really is the most important thing that we can be doing in our lives, is cultivating this spiritual side that helps us bring in new earth. Thank you, Nadine Calis. This has been a beautiful episode with a beautiful transmission, and we are grateful. Thank you.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Lorraine, and thank you for all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. I want to remind you to scroll down on this webpage and find Nadine's offer. And if you're joining us on YouTube, you'll see it in the description box. There's a link for it. Thank you all. Your light is different now, more connected to source. And for that, our world is radiant even more. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Nadine.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.